stop. Do not move your eyes from this screen. In the next 60 seconds, a dozen different psychological triggers will attempt to pull your focus away. A flickering light, a distant sound, or the phantom vibration of a device in your pocket. You believe you are watching this video by choice, but the truth is far more sinister. Your attention is being harvested. Right now, as you listen, there is a global auction happening in the digital cloud, and the commodity being sold is your conscious mind. Most people are attention slaves, their focus fragmented into 1,000 pieces by engineers who get paid to keep them distracted. Today, we are not just analyzing the theft, we are performing an autopsy on your stolen mind. To understand the value of your focus, we must study the rights of Cal Newport. In his monumental work, Deep Work, Newport argues that the ability to concentrate without distraction is becoming a rare superpower. He states, "The ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the same time it is becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. As a consequence, the few who cultivate this skill will thrive. Most of you are training your brains to be shallow. You are losing the capacity for complex thought because your neurons are being rewired for 15-second clips. You are becoming a cognitive peasant, while the elite remain cognitive kings. If you feel like your mind is being fragmented into 1,000 pieces, hit that like button. It is the first act of rebellion against the engineers of your distraction. But why is your attention so easy to steal? For that, we turn to the rights of B.F. Skinner. Skinner's research on operant conditioning is the secret blueprint for every interface on your smartphone. He discovered that intermittent variable rewards, giving rewards at random intervals, is the most addictive force known to man. This is why you pull down to refresh. It is the psychological mechanism of a Vegas slot machine embedded in your pocket. Skinner wrote, "The way to control a population is not through force, but through the systematic reinforcement of specific behaviors. You aren't using an app, you are being harvested by it. You are the laboratory rat in Skinner's box, pecking at a glass screen for a hit of dopamine that never truly satisfies the hunger." This leads us to the rights of Ivan Pavlov. His research on classical conditioning proved that we can be anchored to specific triggers. A sound, a color, or a brand logo can be tied to an emotional state. The elite use this to trigger buying frenzies or political rage without the victim ever knowing they were triggered. You think you are angry at a headline? No. You have been conditioned to respond to certain dog whistle keywords like a bell-trained dog. Now, understand this. This knowledge is not meant for the masses. The masses crave distraction because they are terrified of what they might find in the silence of their own minds. But you are still here. That means you have the stomach for the truth. At the 1% elite, we are building a community of 100,000 elite minds. We are looking for the focused sovereigns, those who refuse to let their mental energy be sold to the highest bidder. We are building a tribe that values silence over noise and obsession over distraction. If you want to be one of the 100,000 who own their own consciousness, subscribe right now. Join the 1% elite. Claim your throne before the system colonizes the last remaining inch of your willpower. To understand the cost of this digital colonization, study the rights of Johann. In Stolen Focus, he reveals that our collective attention didn't just fade, it was intentionally sabotaged. Hari writes, "Your attention didn't collapse, it was stolen." We are living in a system that is designed to exhaust our self-control. He explains the switch cost effect. Every time you check a notification while working, your brain has to recalibrate. This switch costs you 20% of your cognitive capacity. You think you are multitasking? No. You are just choosing to be 20% more incompetent every single hour. Consider the rights of William James, the father of modern psychology. He famously stated, "My experience is what I agree to attend to. Only those items which I notice shape my mind." Think about the gravity of that statement. If you spend your waking hours attending to outrage, short-form brain rot, and celebrity gossip, then your entire reality becomes trash. You are literally building a garbage mind. The 1% elite know that to change your life, you don't change your environment. You change your attention filter. If you see someone whose greatness is being suffocated by digital noise, someone who is a shadow of their potential because they cannot look away from the screen, share this video with them. Break the spell. Leave a comment with the word unbroken if you are still here resisting the urge to scroll. Consider the rights of Niccolò Machiavelli. In The Prince, he famously asked whether it is better to be loved or feared. His answer? It is much safer to be feared than loved. Fear is the ultimate control mechanism. When people are afraid, their prefrontal cortex shuts down, and their amygdala takes over. In that state, they are easy to herd. The digital world uses fear of missing out, FOMO, to keep you chained to the feed. This brings us to the Stanford prison experiment by Philip Zimbardo. He showed that when you give someone a role and a uniform, they will become the role. Within days, college students became brutal prison guards. Zimbardo proved that identity is the ultimate cage. If the algorithm can define your identity, tell you that you are a victim or a hater, you no longer need to be watched. You will police yourself to stay consistent with that label. This brings us to Robert Greene, the author of the 48 Laws of Power. One of his most lethal laws is, keep others in suspended terror, cultivate an air of unpredictability. Control is maintained through the psychological exhaustion of the subject. If people can predict your next move, they can resist you. But if you are unpredictable, they become paralyzed by the effort to understand you. Greene writes, the world is a giant swirling whirlpool of human emotions. If you can control the flow, you control the world. We must also look at Noam Chomsky and his theory of manufacturing consent. Control on a mass scale is achieved by narrowing the range of acceptable debate while allowing very spirited discussion within that narrow range. It makes the them feel like they are free thinkers, while their thoughts are being funneled into a pre-built canal. Chomsky states, the smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum. Let us look at George Orwell and the concept of doublethink from 1984. Control is perfected when you can make people accept two contradictory beliefs as the truth simultaneously. In the modern world, this is done through gaslighting, making people doubt their own senses until they rely solely on the official source for reality. As Orwell wrote, power is in tearing human minds to pieces and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing. Modern control also uses the Ben Franklin effect. This is a cognitive bias where a person who has already performed a favor for another is more likely to do another favor. Psychologist Leon Festinger would explain this through cognitive dissonance. If I do a favor for you, my brain says, I must like this person. Otherwise, why would I help them? By manipulating small actions, you can force a person's brain to change its opinion of you. You are literally rewriting their internal narrative, but the 1% elite know the ultimate form of control is choice architecture, as discussed by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein in Nudge. You do not tell people what to do. You simply design the environment so that the choice you want them to make is the default choice. You give them the illusion of freedom while you have already pre-selected the outcome. Thaler writes, there is no such thing as a neutral design. Everything in your environment is a nudge toward a specific behavior. How do the 1% fight back? They use the rights of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor. He wrote, concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what is in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. Free yourself from all other distractions. This is the code of the high achiever. They do not let digital parasites feed on it. They practice monastic focus. They understand that 1 hour of undistracted deep work is worth more than 10 hours of busy work with a phone on the desk. Modern neuroscience, as discussed by Dr. Andrew Huberman, shows that attention is a neurochemical limited resource involving acetylcholine. When you scatter your focus, you go neurologically bankrupt. You feel unmotivated and foggy. It is not burnout, it is attention depletion. The 1% elite budget their neurochemistry. They save their focus capital for the things that build empires, not for the things that build ad revenue for tech giants. How do you defend against this? You must master metacognition. You must become the observer of the influence. When you feel a sudden urge to follow a trend, pause. Ask yourself, is this my thought, or was it planted there? We are the 1% elite. We do not seek to control others for petty gains. We seek to understand control so that we can never be controlled again. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." To win the game of influence, you must practice emotional detachment. As Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War, if your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak that he may grow arrogant. By controlling your own emotions, you become a vacuum that sucks in the emotions of others, allowing you to redirect their energy at will. This is the law of the mirror. People will reflect back what you project. If you project absolute certainty, they will feel doubt. If you project silence, they will feel the need to fill it with their secrets. This brings us to the rights of Michael Goldhaber, who warned that in an information-rich world, attention is the only scarce resource. He wrote, "The currency of the new economy is not money, but attention. If you are poor in attention, you will always be a servant. If you are rich in attention, you will be the master." How do you reclaim your mind? You must practice attention hygiene. You must treat your notification settings as the iron borders of your kingdom. Every app allowed to ping you is an invading army. Destroy the infinite scroll. Relearn the ancient art of single tasking. As the poet Nerval wrote, "I am the other." When you are distracted, you are the other, the version of you the system programmed. When you are focused, you are the one. Gustave Le Bon argued that when individuals join a crowd, their conscious personality vanishes. He wrote, "An individual in a crowd is a grain of sand amid other grains of sand, which the wind stirs up at will. To control them, you must stop talking to their logic and start talking to their images. The crowd does not think, it feels. It does not want truth, it wants illusions. If you can provide a powerful enough myth, they will follow you to the ends of the earth." But let's go deeper into the dark side of control. Stanley Milgram, a psychologist at Yale, conducted one of the most terrifying experiments in history, the Milgram experiment. He proved that ordinary people would inflict lethal electric shocks on strangers, simply because an authority figure told them to. Milgram concluded, "Obedience to authority is not a choice for most. It is a deeply ingrained behavioral complex. If you can project the aura of legitimate authority, you do not need to ask for permission. People will simply obey because their brain is conditioned to surrender to the expert. We are the 1% elite. We are building a cognitive fortress of 100,000 minds that cannot be hacked. Join the 100,000. Subscribe to the 1% elite. Leave a comment below with the word unbroken if you reach the end of this video without switching tabs. That single word is the proof that your sovereignty is still alive. In our next deep dive, we will explore behavioral triggers, how to identify the invisible strings that pull your actions every day. Until then, stay sharp, watch the crowd, but never join it. Understand the levers, but never be the one being pulled. The 1% elite, master the mind, master the world.